Hi, today I'm going to be going over a Retina MacBook Pro board for the A1425 model that's not turning on. As you can see, when I take the board and I plug the MagSafe charger in, I don't get a light on the charger, which denotes that something is obviously wrong. So, yeah, nobody's going to pay to use a machine that doesn't turn on. So I'm going to go over why it doesn't turn on. We're going to troubleshoot this, and we're going to try to figure out what's going on. And you'll get to see most of my thought process in real time. I'm going to measure things with you in real time. I'm not going to be doing this where you can't see what I'm working on and where you can't see my thought process, or where I just show it not working, and then I show some fast-forwarded shit, and then it works again. You're actually going to learn something from this. So let's get started. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to see if power is actually getting through on the main part where the DCN board gets into the computer. So I'm going to open up the schematic here, and I'm going to show you where that is on my schematic. So let's change over and open Broadcaster so where you can see my schematic. Let's zoom in a little bit. Now this over here, J9000, this is the DCN board. So over here you're going to have a DCN board fuse. So I'm going to plug this in, and we're going to see if we get power over there. Now over here at F6905, I'm going to check where F6905 is on here. By the way, I know a lot of you people go, how do you know where the components are? It's not magic. It is software. Software tells me everything. So I go over here. This software sucks, but it's better than guessing. I know that why these people get away with having this bullshit software. It's because, you know, it's either this or nothing. So when I measure, I know you can't see the multimeter. You'll have to trust me. I get 16 volts. So if you can't follow along with exactly what I'm doing by watching the multimeter, at least you can follow along with the thought process. So I'm going to skip ahead of all this stuff just because what I do is I like to look at the end of a circuit and the beginning of a circuit and kind of get an idea of what's going on, so that I can kind of figure out quicker where it is I should be focusing. Now, as I've mentioned in a million videos, you need PP3V42_G3 hot for the one-wire circuit to work. The one-wire circuit is what allows the charger to talk to the SMC, and when the charger talks to the SMC, then it'll do things like turn on your green light and turn on all your power rails in your computer, but without that, you're screwed. I don't want to explain exactly how the one-wire circuit works in this video, so what I'll encourage you to do is look at a video entitled, What is the One-Wire Circuit and What is its Purpose? I've done that, and I've talked about the one-wire circuit in many other videos. Feel free to search through my channel. Again, it's not a paid video. It's a free video, so if you want to learn what that does and how it works, you can learn for free. So you need PP3V42_G3 hot to have the one-wire circuit working. And if that sounds confusing, when I say PP whatever G3 hot and all that crap, all I'm talking about is a voltage rail. So you know how on your desktop, when you look at those Molex connectors, you have a black wire, a yellow wire, and a red wire? The yellow wire is for the 12-volt rail of the computer, the red wire is for the 5-volt rail, and the black is ground. You need to have those different power rails present, or your desktop is not actually going to work. And the same is true in a laptop. You have different power rails. Your charger may be putting out 16 or 18 volts, but your CPU runs off of 1 volt. Other parts of your machine may run off of, your fan runs off of 5 volts. You know, you have other parts of your machine that need different voltages to run off of, and for that we have different power rails. Now, PP3V42 is a 3.42 volt power supply. If you don't know how to find that in a schematic, you can simply do what I do. I looked at this and I said, what the fuck is a PP3V42? I measured it with my multimeter on voltage mode, and I saw that there was 3.42 volts there. And something went off in my brain. Something went off in my brain that said, it says I see 3V42. I get 3.42 volts. I'm going to chop off the PP and pretend the V is a decimal point. And since then, I've been very, very happy. When I see PP5V, I assume 5 volts. When I say PP3V3, it's 3.3 volts that's supposed to be there. It's just a good way of figuring out what's supposed to be in different places. So I need this. Now, when I measure PP3V42_G3 hot, let's try it measuring it on L6995, and let's see what I get. So I go over to my board view, and it tells me where L6995 is. I honestly don't remember off the top of my head because I'm not very familiar with the A1425 Retina board. It's not a board I get in very often. And when I check on my schematic, I get 0 volts. I mean on my multimeter, I get 0 volts. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to unplug this, and then I'm going to use my multimeter here in diode mode to see if there's a short to ground. So one of the things you want to figure out at this part is there a short to ground that's keeping that power line from going where it's supposed to, or is it simply not producing the power? Because if there's a short to ground, the chip can be good in pre-producing power, it's just that something is pulling it down. And I get a measurement on my multimeter that tells me that there's no short to ground. I get 0.283. That's not a short to ground on a major power line. So there's no short to ground. So now what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to keep measuring and try to find out where it is power goes away. So let's skip ahead of all this stuff over here. and try right over here on input. So let's see what I get on D6905. So let's look for D6905. Okay, that's over there. Again, I'm not searching for you. I'm actually looking for me because on this board, I really forget where most of the things are. Again, it doesn't follow a much different concept from other boards. It's just I get it. I seriously get one of these a month to work on. So I have 16 volts. So the input of my chip, here's what this tells me over here. The input of this chip is getting the 16 volts. But I'm not outputting anything, and I'm not outputting anything even though there's no short to ground. So the problem lies somewhere over here. So this is where I decide I want to look at that part of the circuit and get an idea what it looks like. So let's go see U6990. And tells me that this is over here. All right, of course, you're open in a different way than I have the board oriented on the desk. It wouldn't have it any other way now, would you? All right, so we're going to go over here in the microscope. And okay, so now we're going to go in the microscope and we're going to look at that area. Let's just get the microscope camera adjusted, since remember I got this cool new feature. It's not really new, it's just something I've always been here that I never actually knew about, where I can adjust the way it looks, which is pretty damn cool. So this is the area where that chip is. This thing doesn't have a manual, so fuck if I know what, AE and WB mean, but I'm not interested in Googling. Okay. Wonder what's wrong with my board. That's the chip responsible for that power rail. Yeah, so is it any wonder that this shit doesn't work? I mean, really. I'm obsessed with this light shit now. I'm becoming a fucking color OCD freak. All right, anyway, so we're going to remove that because that's no good. There's no purpose in keeping something that looks like that on the board. Okay. Catch my breath and take this crap off. Extra points if you don't burn the keyboard backlight connector. One of my pet peeves about Apple products is they all have this circuit that is meant to take 18.5 volts from the charger or 12.6 volts from the battery and to turn that into 3.42 volts. They all have this shit, and every single one uses a different fucking chip. Even though it's the same crap every single year from 2000, at the very least to my knowledge, every circuit from 2008 to the present is the same shit. It's, turned 18 whatever volts from the charger into 18 volts from the charger, 12 volts from the battery, into this. And they all use a different chip to do it, which is just, I don't get it. Just like, and I scratched off a pad. Yeah. Troll's gonna troll. Oh, what I scratched off is unconnected, so fuck you if you're a troll. Unconnected, that's awesome. Okay. So what I need to connect is the broken cap to that. That'll be something. That'll be easy. So first things first, we're just gonna get rid of that cap. As I say, I tested it with my eyes, and my eyes tell me that it's bad. Don't leave nasty shit like that on motherboards, really. There's no reason to. Okay. By the way, when you rip off pads and they come off really easy, here's the thing with these boards. So if you try to solder something on, for example, like a little piece of shit like this, so see this board over here? If you use the same temperature and the same air setting that you use to solder onto an Apple board, onto some single layer prototype piece of crap like this, the solder is going to stay wet for a good 20 or 30 seconds afterwards because it's not meant for that level of heat. You don't need that much heat. But then you work on a multi-layer PC board like this that just is meant to, be like one large heatsink for all these components. And one of the things you're going to notice is that you need a lot more heat for this. So when you have your iron set to that level of heat and you're used to working with it, and then you go over something that is not heat-synced and not connected, it's going to come right off. So one of the things I'm going to do here, I know I got that fancy magnet wire. I don't really feel like it's necessary that I use a fancy magnet wire here. I'm just going to use a battery wire because it's slimmer and it's going to be easier to route to that specific area. At least I think it will be. Okay. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. Now what I'm looking for is a Retina board that's similar to that, but that has a hole in it. Here we go. Do you think I'm going to order that part off of Mouser or DigiKey? Fuck no, because this person is going to scream bloody murder if I tell them they have to wait a week and a half for their board to get fixed. They will scream and they will bitch and they will cry. I had somebody recently who actually had their customer. Oh, fuck. Where'd you go? Seriously? Well, okay, let's just grab another one of the same type. Anyway, as I was saying, I had somebody actually have wholesale customer. Well, I should say ex-wholesale customer at this point, because fuck if I'm ever fixing these boards again. The post office was like a day or two late in delivering some shit, so they had their customer call here to ask where their board was, and it's like, yeah, your board's in the mail. There's really not much I can do. And you're not our customer. You're this other company's customer. You need to deal with them. The whole point of the wholesale thing is not... The whole point of like us giving you a discount is you're easy to deal with. That's the thing you have to understand. So once you become a pain in the ass to deal with, you're really not a wholesale customer anymore. You understand? Like, there's no point. Like, once you actually start... Once we have to deal with things like, I'm pissed off that the mail was one day late in delivering this, you're being a customer. And I hate to say things like this, but really, like, one of the worst insults that you can give somebody in IT, let's say you're a help desk administrator or a systems administrator, one of the worst insults that a systems administrator can give you is to say that you're being a user. And one of the worst insults like a repair shop can give you is say that you're being a customer. And not to insult customers, but if you're like a wholesale place that wants to send things in and you're, acting like a quote-unquote customer, that is really just, that's the worst thing you can do, honestly. Like when we're giving you $100 or $150 off of something, retail price, there's like that, there's that implication there that like I'm charging you less money than other people. Therefore, like if the mail is a day late, you deal with it because you are a store. You know what it's like. I have no control over that. Don't give your customer our number and say, "Oh, bitch at them." Like, yeah. There was another one where it was like, oh, this thing is not working after you fixed it, and it wound up being a RAM. But they were bitching like a customer that just got something fixed and had a quote-unquote another issue. And it's like, you're paying for a wholesale board repair, and your RAM is keeping your shit from working again. And like, what right do you, again, if you're paying like the actual board repair rate, I'll get it and I'll deal with you like a customer. But when you're paying a wholesale rate, just like STFU. But anyway, I don't know where this came from. But yeah, I'm not ordering this part off of Mouser. Yeah, you have to understand, like the level of impatience that people have here. There's no way in hell I'm ordering this crap off of Mouser and waiting for it to get here. What I do is I have a bunch of dead boards sitting in a pile, and they're not dead boards that were liquid damaged or fucked up, because if you're taking stuff off of liquid damaged boards to do this, what you're going to find very often is that it doesn't work. And that's what I try to find is these boards that have the hole in it, and you can find them on Alibaba. David Advanced Reworks sells them too. Yeah, if you find these boards that have the holes in them, And the whole idea is they were never liquid damaged. They were just quality assurance crap from the factory, supposedly. Who the hell knows? And the whole idea behind that is that you're getting boards that maybe like it had one fault in the PCH or the CPU, so now it's scrap, but all the other things are good. So you have every single little working piece that you need. So if you have a theory or something you want to test, instead of waiting all day or a week or 2 weeks to get parts in, you can simply steal it off of another board. You don't have to look in the board view to see where it went if you're just ripping off a bunch of parts, because it's the same board, so it's right there. You can see it. All right, so now we're going to measure voltage with that new chip there on the inductor, and I get shit. Lovely. Okay, so let's see what it is that is doing that. Unfortunately, I got to do this outside of the microscope because I would never have room to fit my probe in there. I can't even see it under the outside of the microscope. Is my probe small enough to hit in there? Yeah, it's getting at 16 volts. Okay, now it just turned on, which means improperly soldered. Which means some more. All right. I should clean that a little bit. Let's get the alcohol on the toothbrush, clean it out a little bit. After cleaning it out a little bit, what I'm going to want to do is put some flux in there, push, reheat, and be happy. But yeah, again, if you are a wholesale customer, this is just a note, never, ever, ever give your customers our number. If you cannot deal with your customers, I understand. I totally understand, and I sympathize with you if you don't know how to deal with your people. But if you can't deal with your people, then you can fix the boards yourself, you know? Like there's, I would say a good 283 tickets that are open right now for me. And we are a group of about 3 or 4 people that have to deal with over 283 tickets right now. And we do it. So, like, if you can't deal with it, like 2 or 3 of them, I'm sorry. Again, my heart, my heart pumps piss for you, really. You have to deal with your people. If you can't, bye-bye. That's all there is to it. Or pay retail. I don't have any guilt there. Again, I'm sitting here taking time out of my day to show you how to do this stuff yourself so you don't have to pay me. Like, you have options. So, you really do. Okay. Ain't nobody else on the internet giving you a step-by-step diagram guide how-to on how to do this stuff. So, if it doesn't work out with me, you can still watch my content for free, still learn. Once it heats into place, we push that in. There's no point in even trying to examine that at an angle because I won't see it because of the damn cap anyway. It is pretty though. See that? That's a fan spinning. See this? It's an orange light. Which means I'm happy. So, I hope you learned something. All right, so let's take a look at the finished product here. Let's get this all auto-adjusting going on. I'm hooked on this auto-adjusting. All right. Yeah, so this was broken. That little thing. And we put a little wire there. Now I'm going to cover it in my favorite stuff in the world, which is a pile of green shit. Maybe let me try a pile of black shit for today, actually. I don't like this black pen from Allspec because it's harder to actually get the liquid out of it. It's the CW3300G, and then I have the CW3300B, which is a black version of it. Somebody suggested I get this because it would be harder to see on the board, but the reality is that it's just more of a pain in the ass to get out of the thing. Yeah, and it just comes out looking much messier than the green shit. Maybe that's just because I suck at applying it. I'm open to the idea that I can't apply this because I suck at applying it. But ultimately, it's just harder to get it out of the damn tube. Like I'm pushing on the tube, squeezing while I'm pushing the pen down, and sure. Again, whatever he asks for. I trust him. I'm making a disgraceful mess of that. I'm actually getting the insulation, the black shit everywhere other than the fucking jumper wire. So let me show you why I prefer green shit, by the way. This is a good thing because you may really not assume watching this video that there's any difference between these but color. You may think that they're all the same. And this is one of the things that I hate about buying things on the internet and not being able to try them. I mean, you would never know that just because these are a different color, even though it's the same product, that one works better than the other. So watch what the green shit does. So you see how the green shit is more liquidous? So I'm able to get it in between that capacitor and that in an IC that I replace. See that? Like I'm pushing and it flows like liquid. Now it's going to cure the same way the black stuff cures. It's going to cure and it's not going to be liquidous anymore after it cures, and it's going to cure quickly. But now obviously I got a little bit of a mess there because I decided to put the black crap in addition to the green crap. Had I just started with the green, it would have been better. But the reason that the green conformal coating is better is because it flows nicely. And a funny thing here is that this conformal coating pen, this green one, you can see this is beat up and this is old, and this is a pen that I've had for over a year now. Whereas the black pen is actually it's been used once or twice, and it's maybe a few months old at that. So yeah, when you go to buy the conformal coating pen to do that, you want to get the CW3300G from Allspec, not the CW3300B. Again, you may think the only difference is color, but as you can see, one of the colors flows like garbage and one of the colors flows nicely. Green is a lovely color. I know you want it to look professional. I know you want it to look absolutely like it was originally, but really, who cares? I care that it works and the black stuff sucks.